We're just beside the garage here again. We just come along this way, and this is probably what I call the maybe the lungs of the garden, because I'm going to take you to the heart after, which is the compost pile. But George brought these barrels home from the hospital. They were recycling from lots of chemicals, and he sequenced them, and this is our water station. And because it comes down off the roof into this one, when it fills this one, then it fills this one, then it fills this one, and then it fills this one. And that one goes out to the river. George put an underground thing, and it goes right out. So we always can keep 5 barrels of water going if it rains enough for us. And last night it did. And this one is full, right back here. And this one is mostly full. And I wanted to tell you that I also have a pump that if, because we need the water to continue moving through here, so I water with the watering can from this whole water area, which is how we collect it. Now this is a thing that everybody's doing, but this is over 15 years old since George did this. And so it's really kind of neat that I like showing it to people. And the watering savers that they give out now with a lot of the municipalities for people to be collecting their rainwater, just don't do it. You need more than that if you're a big gardener, but you know, even one is a help. So that's the water part, and I do use the water in the watering can. Not everything needs to be watered all the time, especially since I place pots in the garden. They need attention, but that's one of the things I love doing. I just if you could just come out and just not have to do a lot of big gardening, but you just come and do some freshening up to the pots. That's what I call it. So you see, gardeners do sit in their gardens sometimes. I especially sit here because I can watch the pond, I can watch the bird feeders, I can see reflections in the windows of the house and the hummingbirds. So yes, I do sit here sometimes. Not very often do you see me sitting in the garden, but you're seeing it right now. I welcome people when they come here to sit in the garden, because it is, as you know, it's a place where things are happening all the time. This is still back of the house as we've come around past the pond. This bed is an interesting bed in that we needed a wet spot. We had, when we did our renovations, we had an old bathtub, and my husband actually buried it underneath this plant so that when it rains, it keeps kind of a boggy kind of area because the rain will sit there. This big Brugmansia plant, Brugmansia, has the need to have a wet bottom. So that's kind of why that's that area. And look how it's really quite big. And also this whole bed camouflages where we're going next is into the, what I call the heart, the compost area. Again, I've tried some vegetables here, but it's always an experiment because there's not enough sun. But we'll see what happens if I'm definitely getting lettuce. Not sure if I'm going to get real tomatoes or not, but I'm having fun with this one too. Well, we've come around the corner from the backyard just into what I call the heart because it's the compost area. All this was built by George. He had a plan out of a book, and I've actually shared that plan with several people. It's 3 bins on this side and 2 on this side. And the idea is that you put your green in, you have to have some brown, so it's some old brown leaves, and then you have a layer of dirt. So you are layering and you're shifting it all the time. This one I have just finished. This is almost finished compost. I'll just in this one, and I've been mulching with it. So this is the only fertilizer we use on the garden, is just what we make from our compost. So I take it in these smaller pails. This is the one that I'm receiving and layering into right now. So I call this my George jobs. I never did this before. This was always George's area, but it's now mine. In fact, when I first decided to honor the garden, I made a calendar and I called it Memories of George's Garden. By the next year, when people said, are you going to do another calendar, they'd say, but isn't it your garden now? And it took me a while to adopt it as my garden, and so I still like to call it Memory Gardens. It's Memory Gardens for me. And even doing this morning is, and this is what happens when I bring people in and tell them these stories. It's very honoring, but it is also emotional. So thank you. This is the best part.